of a defense intelligence, when those kind of people are making decisions of what is politically appropriate for the citizens to do, then we don't have a democracy. Then we have essentially a police state, because the police are deciding what can happen. And so that's the fundamental crime of the Cointel Pro programs.
Whether there's stress or turbulence doesn't really excuse agencies, law enforcement agencies of the government, or the president himself from rising above the law and proceeding in lawless fashion.
The FBI admitted to the Congress of the United States that they had over 1 million documents on the Puerto Rican independence movement. 1 million documents on a movement of a very small island. And it speaks to how important the Cointel Pro program has been vis-a-vis the Puerto Rican independence movement.
They actually intensified with a lot of money their attacks, which largely are comprised of illegal tactics to make the criminal the victim and the victim the criminal, to turn everything around. So we couldn't win the hearts and minds of the people if we wanted. So we will begin to be looked upon as the enemies of the people instead of what we were, freedom fighters, fighting for people.
So they're using mind games, manipulation, deceit to create confusion, dissension, and end up destroying the leadership. I was in the middle of that, and I would say that the repercussions of that kind of COINTELPRO operation are still present.
Whether the death of Ricardo Falcón was an assassination or not, it had a very chilling effect on social movements, on communities not only in Colorado, not only in the community that he was born in, but in communities across the United States, across the Southwest. It said to people, if you dare to go out into community and begin to make social change, then you are going to have to pay a heavy price for that.
No one was ever punished for the illegal activities of government agencies under the COINTELPRO programs. Some people paid a high price for fighting back or resisting this government-led war against progressive movements. George Jackson was one of the Black movement leaders targeted by COINTELPRO for assassination in prison. And some people are still paying a high price. Those who are political prisoners, those who remain locked up some 20, 30, and 40 years later. This is Mumia Abu-Jamal, a former Black Panther who continues to write and broadcast radio commentaries after decades of unjust imprisonment.
Many of us have been part of national liberation movements, revolutionary political parties, anti-racist communes, or, in the case of people like the Cuban Five, anti-terrorism activists. We've been tried in tribunals where our politics have been our crime, and our political associations our felonies. We need a movement of millions to bring freedom to the brothers and sisters of the Move 9, to bring freedom to Sundiata Akoli, to bring freedom to Mutulu Shakur, and hundreds of other political prisoners. We need a movement of millions to make common cause with oppressed people the world over.
COINTELPRO is happening today on many different levels and is a lot more sophisticated. And in fact, it doesn't need to be a secret anymore.
I believe that it is our ability to transform that repression into meaningful discussion, because it's not just about us saying, well, we need to take the state head on. It is also to engage people in reflections in their homes, in everywhere, to think about not what historically has been done because of COINTELPRO, what is being done right now? How is Cointel Pro really the rubric for the Patriot Act and many aspects of Homeland Security?
If it was Cointel Pro then, it's probably Cointel Pro now. Maybe a different version or a different name. The same practice is to eliminate, intimidate, incarcerate, and terrorize a people.
Certain kinds of searches that were illegal or unconstitutional now under Patriot Act, they can be done.
If you're involved in radical politics, if you're involved in certain forms of even civil disobedience, that you might be charged as a terrorist in this particular country.
In Puerto Rico, there is, I believe, a growing movement to really understand the role of the FBI, particularly with the assassination of Filiberto Ojeda Rios.
The FBI pursued Rios, an independence movement leader, for 15 years after he failed to appear for sentencing on robbery charges. On September 23, 2005, the FBI murdered him during an assault on his home in Puerto Rico.
That led many people to really question the role of the FBI.
What they call this great green scare of the last few years, the radical environmental movement, for lack of a better term, this was showcased as being an example of so-called domestic terrorism, although I don't know that it's ever been shown that they hurt anyone. Now the people who are the most serious, most principled activists are in a position of being made into examples of the cost and consequence. Disproportionately harsh, ridiculous sentences, if you want to think about it, under the rubric of terrorism.
Now, under the Patriot Act, there doesn't even have to be any crime. People can just be investigated. And guess what? They get investigated because of their politics. They get put on lists. They get under surveillance. There's all kinds of things that happen to people. They can be whisked off into prisons that no one even knows where they are. They can be tortured. They can be brutalized. These are the things that were being done under Cointel Pro as well. But the government said they weren't happening because they were illegal. They could have been charged for violating the law. But now, that is the law.
There are young people looking for answers. And there are enough victims of Cointel Pro around from the 60s and 70s in every community to warn young people of the traps.
There are yet people who have raw wounds walking around from those years. And as long as those wounds don't heal, and as long as society doesn't let them heal, there will be another generation who sees those wounds and will take those wounds personally and will make the future revolutionaries who will, we hope, link up someday to people from the other continents who are also oppressed and maybe make for a little improvement.
The organized resistance and claims for social and human justice, for political democracy, for economic democracy have to go into the forefront, and we have to have broader and broader coalitions and stronger movements, and it has to make a political impact. And so we cannot just say, well, because it's hard, we can't do it. No, it has to be done. It is a long and protracted struggle, but you cannot abandon it, and you have to recognize, as James Foreman always said, we will win without a doubt.
The quest for freedom, the quest for equality, and the quest for community. And I think that that's something that systems of greed and oppression try to deny. And I think we have a right, but more important, a responsibility to take those things head on and to be part of building movements of resistance.
Ultimately, the only safety that we will be able to secure and pass along to our coming generations is not only to confront the nature of the reality reflected in Cointel Pro and comparable sorts of operations from Homeland Security or whoever, but to dismantle the system that gives rise to them and replace it with something that would actually reflect our interests, that would reflect concern with our well-being, and reflect a certain sort of respect for the dignity of our communities, our traditions, and us as individuals.
Cointel Pro, y'all. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries pump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries pump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so. Yo, welcome to the misery, how racist the system be. Equality the plan, Uncle Sam so shifty. Ku Klux Klan, man, they whistling Dixie. Power to the people, it's the 1960s. Bang for your freedom, organized, man, it's risky. No justice, no peace, so we brought the hood with me. Protect your family, the FBI insanity. Now face reality, police brutality, crimes against humanity. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries pump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so. Freedom fighters, we politicking. CIA, I ain't kidding. The new world agenda hidden, mark of the beast. Police watch their dirty methods. How they spray us with the water hose and sick German shepherds. Now bump that. Matter of fact, we buck back. When cops beat you down till you're blue and you're black, they had the authority to kill a minority. The law's disorderly. And fair they want the poor to be. Tap up my phone, keep tabs on us quarterly. Black Panthers threaten this national security. The ghettos, the perils, the soldiers, the rebels. The Russian shows the Herman Bells and Chip Fitzgerald. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries pump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries pump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries pump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so. Once upon a time came Cointel Pro. Undercover feds in the mist on the low. Revolutionaries bump your fists like whoa. Fight for human rights and yo, rightfully so.